Hello everybody out there in where did it go? There it is. Woo! Hello everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, and YouTube, Instagram, everywhere this is going to be going live and all that good stuff. Welcome to the show this morning. I am Monty, your host. Here, great. I am your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson's. So, how are you all doing out there today? Hopefully, you are doing great. Uh, Looking forward to today because it's closer to the weekend for some of you. Some of you that work the weekend, I do apologize. You know, like, hold on just 1 second here on TikTok. I got to go answer the girlfriend. All right. So, so, man. All right. Give me just a second, guys. On. Sorry, guys. Give me just a minute. We'll be back with you live. We got a little thing happening on the other side. But do like, sharing, and a little family drama on my girlfriend's side, so it's all good. We are getting it taken care of, and it's I shouldn't be saying that about here, but anyway, um, we're getting it taken care of. So those of you, please like, share, follow, and go up here to my website and follow me on all my other socials. But good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions. I do not have my logo up behind me. I'm getting tired of the green screen. I just need to put a banner behind me is what I need to do. Um, because I hate the way the green screen does things when it goes around your head and shit. Especially with the black areas and I wear a lot of darker colors, especially on hats and stuff like that, or even my hair. When it's out from under the hat. Yes, I do have hair. It's red. Well, orange, more or less. So, what are your guys' plans for the weekend? Give me just 1 second. I got to answer the girlfriend back. Sorry about this. All right. So, all right. Got that little section taken care of. So, this weekend here in the Fort Smith, Arkansas area where I liveth, um, I wasn't born and raised in Arkansas, so don't get all that weird shit in your head going on. The Steampunk Festival is going on. I'm looking forward to it because I'm looking for some specific items. Um, this way I can, you know, display some things in the office to get you guys pumped and get you guys excited about some things that I'm working on. And uh, it's a way to reveal some things without revealing things, if that makes sense. And thank you for the likes, and hopefully you're sharing it out there too. Give me just 1 second. All right. So this weekend, Steampunk Festival downtown Van Buren, Arkansas. It's a big deal because they block off the entire downtown section of Van Buren, um, just like they do when they film movies there. Yes, they filmed a lot of movies there. Um, Downtown Van Buren, they bring in sand, make it look more western, uh, cover up certain things and things like that. But it's very cool what they do when they transform downtown Van Buren into a western town uh, for a movie set. And they've done it many, many times since I've lived here in this state. And they've actually filmed quite a few movies here in Fort Smith and Van Buren and other parts around in Arkansas. And even Gina Davis uh, is part of the Actors Guild here in Arkansas, and so she's down here quite a bit. Um, so there's always that ample opportunity to actually meet her. Um, many celebrities have been seen in town, uh, and so that's pretty cool and exciting in and of itself. So there's always that opportunity that you could run into a famous actor or actress here in Arkansas. Now, do I get starstruck with all that shit? No. Why? Because I used to escort celebrities, to and from the stage when I worked for Walmart. Um, and one of the people that I was a big escort for, Three Doors Down. Unfortunately, the lead singer has cancer right now, and so they're dealing with that. Uh, they're still touring as well, so be do your good vibes, your prayers, whatever you want to do for them, and pass that along to him. So, but welcome to the show, everybody. We are going to be talking about autographed comics today. I see a lot of buzz about autographed comics. I see a lot of disdain towards autographed comics. I see a lot of love for autographed comics. I don't know what your take is, what your stance is, or if you even care. Um, I'm in a lot of forums and groups that deal with comic books on a regular basis because I draw comic books. I love comic books. If you look down here on my floor area back over here, minus the bag of chicken scratch right there, the cracked corn. That's all comic books. All those boxes down there. Nothing but comic books back there. And I've got 27 boxes of comics, I believe is what I've got. Because I've got some that aren't even in this room, that are in my closet hallway in there. And it's just one of those things that it's like that's ingrained in part of my life of who I am, you know. And it's just like, well, that's never going to go away. So I'm just looking at some things that are going on in my life personally. Hi, how's it going out there? Welcome to the show. And you are, hey, that man Batman is back on the broadcast channel. Welcome to the show, dude. Happy you're here. So, I might have to do a pause on this and come back in just a moment. Yeah, give me just a second, guys. I gotta go take care of some business. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We were having a little bit of drama going on. All right, we're back into the realm of the autographed comic. So, I see a lot of debate in these forums that I'm in. And it's like, why? Why is there so much debate over it all? If someone wants to get their comic book autographed by the creator, by the um, creative team behind it, well, what's the big deal? Now, in today's society, it's much easier to have your stuff authenticated. Okay, meaning that you can have your pictures of the person autographing, his whole setup, her whole setup, whoever they are. You can have their whole convention booth autograph or not autograph, pictured by your cell phone. Bam, 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 while they're autographing your comic book. I did that with Mr. Jim Starlin in San Antonio. It was a little pricey, but I did it anyway. I did have 27 books to get autographed, but then once I found out it was $20 per book to autograph, I was like, I'll stick to 5. Because I wasn't going to spend, you know, all that money that I was also making at the convention because I was set up as a seller as well with my artwork. And, I was hoping he would give a, you know, artist discount, for, that sector, but he was not that kind. But he's still a good guy. And, I had him sign some things. And whenever I first started going to comic book conventions back in the 90s, some of you guys weren't even born whenever I was going to comic book conventions. So I started going in the mid 90s to comic book conventions. 1996 was the first year that I actually started going to comic book conventions, and it was super exciting for me, um, because that was a getaway going to those comic book conventions. My my wife at the time didn't go to any of them. The kids didn't go with us or go with me. It was just my thing, you know. And you bought your tickets, and then once you got in, you got free pretty much everything you wanted. I don't. I never paid for an autograph, you know, because that's not the thing back then. Back in the '90s, that having autographs or paying for autographs was not the thing. Now, if you wanted to buy one of the books that were on the table from the creative crew, then yes, by all means, you could have bought that, and that's how they were supporting themselves. But they were getting their money from detailed drawings and things like that. They had a price for all that. But but if you look back here on my wall, most all that back here was all free. I never paid for any of that back here. The only ones I paid for are these over here. Bum, 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 right here. And that one. That's a James O'Barr. These are Ken Hunts right here. I've got another Ken Hunt, excuse me, that I've got to get or not autographed. I've got to get framed up and put on the wall. Um, but all most everything behind me was free at any show that I went to. I never saw. What's up, Kevin? Welcome to the show, man. I never, I never had to pay for autographs back then. Back in the '90s and even early 2000s. It was somewhere in that 2002 to now stretch that people were like, "Wait a minute, I need to be charging for what I write on a book, my autograph, because it's worth something." And now, you know, let's take celebrities for example. You get some that charge, you know, $80 for an autograph. Then you get some that are charging $150 for an autograph. And then, you know, the whole Mark Hamill situation, if that's true. You know, someone took his convention sign that he has on his table, that's like $800 for an autograph. It's just like, how can people afford these prices? You know, are they saving up? Are they putting into a savings account specifically for, Mark Hamill, specifically for, whoever that charges these prices? And it's just like, well, hell, I can go on eBay and find a Mark Hamill autograph that's JSA certified, and for, like $100. But am I going to go do that? No. Why? Because he's not one of my favorite actors. You know, case in point. I go after autographs that I will enjoy sitting there looking at. Now, do these appreciate in value? Yes, they can. But then you go online and you can find, let's just take Kate Beckinsale, who I've got 2 autographs in my office. You can find her autograph out there a dime a dozen. Elvira, a dime a dozen. And they're all certified. They all have the little JSA. They come with their certificate of authenticity. And you can even scan the little QR code and it takes you to where it was autographed. But I see online in some of these forums where people have legit watched Stan Lee autograph something, and they sent it into CGC years later because it was signed back in the 90s, where cell phones weren't great. Uh, you didn't have a Polaroid with you, or you didn't have a regular camera with you to take a picture of that moment. And they go to get it authenticated by CGC, and CGC kicks it back and says, this is not a real autograph. I witnessed Stan Lee sign this piece. I know this is Stan Lee's autograph, but you're telling me it's not. Hmm. Who's in the wrong? And that's the whole debate right now, is that there are forgers out there that can forge a great signature because that's what they do. And so there you are going to get scammed out there by people because it happens in everyday life. I mean, that's why they have so many different hotlines for different things. And speaking of hotline, hold on, I forgot to put it up here. Bing, bing. There's the hotline right there for you guys. Bing, right there. Just in case. Um, and so, it makes it difficult sometimes to want to get something authenticated by a reputable company that is the end all be all for um, grading comic books and authenticating autographs. If you do not have an entire catalog of this person signing it, say I don't in the 90s, because all I've got are my little pamphlet and brochures, that came with the convention. I could open this book up and go to Michael Turner's autograph right here, and people will be like, "That's not really his autograph. He's dead." No shit, Sherlock. I know he's dead. I met him twice before he died at 2 different conventions. And it's like, I didn't have a camera to take pictures, but here's his autograph. Michael Turner, David Wohl, right there. The writing and artist team behind Witchblade. Michael Turner went on to form Aspen Comics and do his Fathom and a bunch of other titles before he passed on up due to cancer. And, you know, everybody here I met in person. Otherwise, I wouldn't have these signatures in this pamphlet. All these are authentic autographs. I don't know how much that makes this book worth. I really don't care because it's not going anywhere. But there could be somebody out there that's like, that's bullshit. You didn't have those autographs. That you probably wrote in there since you're an artist. It's like, okay, dude. Okay, dude. Or do that. Whatever. You believe what you want to believe. I've got countless books like this. I think I've got 4 different books like this one here. My very first one I went to actually was Dallas Fantasy Fair, which no longer exists. That's where I met Jim Lee, George Perez, and I have their autographs in there. Brian Denham, who I met years later again, and we've actually become friends on Facebook, and we chit chat periodically. He's an awesome artist. He does some very cool stuff. Go check his stuff out. Brian Denham. He used to, and I forgot to look at his comic books of today, but he used to, uh, for his signature, it would be a denim back patch from a pair of jeans was his signature. You know, I don't think that's how he does it anymore on any of his stuff, but that was a cool gimmick, if you will, to get people to remember who he was, because Brian Denham with a denim patch, pocket patch from a pair of jeans with his signature inside of it. So that was very awesome, and he he was kind of excited to see that Dallas Fantasy Fair, and that's and I got to chit chatting with him about that because that's when I first met him. He was an up and coming artist with My Name Is Mud, was his comic book, and he was sitting there coloring a life size cutout of his character Mud. And whenever I walked up to the table, bought his stuff, got his gold sticker, and all that good stuff that he had going on. And fortunate for him, he met quite a few of the image cast there that wanted his talent. And so they brought him in. And I think how it went is that they promised him, you know, to help produce his title, My Name is Mud, under Image Comics. Because there was even stuff in other books that said coming soon, My Name is Mud, all that good stuff. And that never happened. He was so caught up in everything else that they were having him do that his own work went to the side. I don't even know if he ever actually revisited that later, which is kind of sad. But on the same time, his career spiked and took off, you know. So, great dude. He was happy. He was super excited. And he even got to sign next to Gil Kane, you know. He was super excited about that. And because he flipped through the magazine, we found his picture inside of the Dallas Fantasy Fair book, and it was super exciting. I mean, it was awesome. And but you know, can I authenticate his autograph back then? No, I can't, because I didn't take pictures. I only had this and the memories of him autographing it, and I can tell you exactly what he was doing. I can tell you exactly how he signed it. I can tell you, all that stuff. But for someone to take that book and say, no, this isn't a real autograph, they're an idiot, you know. And it's like so many avenues and aspects are that way that you do not get that authentication, if you will, of those situations. Now, take Jim Starlin, for example. Now, X Men Heroes for Hope, right here. Autograph, right here. He specifically asked me, and I have pictures of him signing all this stuff, Mr. Jim Starlin. He asked me, do you want me to sign the back or the front? He goes, because I only did the back cover. And I was like, no, you can go ahead and sign the front. That's cool. And he was like, okay. So this is his cover that he drew up for Heroes for Hope, right here. And I did not have him autograph it because it would have been a double autograph, one on the front, one on the back, and you wouldn't ever see the back one. And so I went ahead and had him sign up here on Author Adams' work or Neil Adams' work. No, it's Author Adams' work on the front. So if I ever meet Author Adams, I can have him sign across Wolverine's legs, or up in this spot. And then I'll have a double autograph on the front with pictures of both. So this isn't the greatest copy of this book, but it's the X-Men. It's my jam, you know, and it's just one of those things that is very awesome. It was a fun little book, uh, because the proceeds to this book went to um, the famine relief and recovery in Africa. So this was a charity book by Marvel, and there's a lot of cool stories inside of here, a lot of great artwork, and again, not my most glorious cover, not my most, because this one's stained. It's got the tick marks on the edge and all that stuff. So this book would not grade very well. It'd probably come back at about a 5, maybe a 6. Now, if I got it cleaned and pressed and all that stuff, which I really don't need it pressed, but if pressing usually helps books like this, um, because it gets any of those irregularities out of the cover and things like that. It makes it look smooth again. And someone can go in here and clean this up, and make it look shiny and bright and new again. But I'm not interested in that because, again, I'm not selling this book. This is my personal collection book. So that's just one example right there. Then you got, again, all these are Jim Starlin books because that's what I had on hand right off the bat. I have The Power of the Warlock, his creation, Warlock. You know, and the funny thing is, this cover right here had a mark across here. And he was like, I'm just going to autograph where those marks are. So right there's his autograph. Underneath it is a pin mark from the person that owned it originally. For whatever reason, they decided that they would do a code on a lot of their comic books that they owned, and they wrote on the covers of quite a few of them, which is a no-no. Don't do that, folks. But CGC wise, if it's a key issue, things like that, they don't care about that. They will actually overlook that unless it is drawn on all over the place like this, and then they'll mark off on that, and you get a bad grade on that. But this one, he was like, I'm just going to sign over these marks right here. So he did that on this one, and he did that on this one right here. So that's why it's so tight right here for his autograph. And this is number 1 and number 2 of Marvel feature or Marvel premiere featuring The Power of the Warlock. And he autographed both of those. Again, I have pictures, proof, all that good stuff of this. And then I will save the coup de grace towards the end for that. But this one is a Batman: A Death in the Family. This is actually the 3rd printing, but it's in great condition. And then there's his autograph right there: A Death in the Family. And this was a great read. If you haven't read it, please go do so. Go find all the books that were involved in it. This was a great read right here. And in fact, this is probably going to be my next tattoo for my son's death. Um, Me being Batman, obviously, and then my son being Robin. There with a banner and all that good stuff. But this is probably what my next tattoo is going to be right here. A form very much there like it. Now, I'm going to save the best for last. And it's not really the best, but it's a great cover. And it's a very significant key issue. And once he put his autograph to it, made that book go up in value. And it is like an autograph can do so much for a book. But then there's books that people just don't like that an autograph can't save, you know. And even some people's autographs aren't worth squat out there, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of great talent out there, but a lot of people get a lot of bad rap, bad press. And They just don't like the person. You know, I don't like Mr. Robert Pattinson in Twilight. Case in point, I loved him as the Batman. I loved him in some other things that he's been in, but as Edward in Twilight, I can't stand the movies. I can't stand the acting that he did in there. Now, if Mr. Roy Joe Twilight Bradley Jr. was here, those are some of his favorite movies, you know, and he tries to make me go and watch them again. I couldn't get past the first one, and then my girlfriend was watching some the other day, and where the baseball scene and all that stuff in it, and I was dying laughing at the acting when they tried to save Bella, keep her protected, you know, and it was just like, this is ridiculousness all the way around, and she's like, I just can't watch these movies with you in here. I said, no, you do your thing. I'll just make fun of the whole movie while we watch it. And so I didn't watch it. Yeah, I did leave the room to let her enjoy her time of of leisure, and it's just certain people in certain movies shouldn't have been there. 100%. But they liked his look. They liked um, his debut for it and all that good stuff. And I get it. Some people don't like Adam West as the original Batman, basically, which technically he wasn't the original Batman because you had the 1930 serials, 1930s and 40s serials that you went to the movie to see, and they were black and white. And you had two different Batman at that point in time in those the serials. Um, but people didn't like those costumes, those outfits that they were wearing in those shows because it was too weird looking. They had too pointy of ears and the nose didn't work right. All that good stuff. But it's just like if you actually look at some of the original Gil Kane autographs back in the day, or not autographs, that's because that's what the show is talking about, autographs. Some of the Gil Kane artwork that was drawn up back in the day for Batman, those outfits that they were wearing in the black and white 1930s and 40s serials were spot on, you know. And then once you move into the 1960s with Adam West and Burt Ward, those were spot on too, you know. Now the colorization was a little weird because it turns out to be looking more purple than it does blue and all that stuff and it's just like one of those things, you know. And so I've got Adam West autographed up here. Do I have proof that it's his autograph? Yes, it's right here. I watched it, witnessed it, and talked to him. His thumbprint is on my Life magazine from March 6th, or March, is that March 6th? No, March 11th, 1966, with Batman on the cover. A Mad New World is what the title says. And I even did an homage to that with my Batman Who Laughs, in the same outfit as Adam West is wearing on that outfit or on that cover, and it has my name to it. It says "To Monty" on it from Adam West, and he flipped through that magazine, and he had ink on his fingers. And when he flipped through that magazine, he left his thumbprints all over that magazine. So I have Adam West thumbprints on my book up here, on my Life magazine from 1966. And then he signed the theme record to the Batman soundtrack, which was, you know, the movie theme soundtrack, the TV show, and there was a movie as well. And then there was a picture, that they had. Rock 100 the Cat is the one that put it on, but the picture was from 98.9 Kiss FM, and it was at Mega Market, a a big chain back then in the 90s, and so all three of these are autographed to me, and I made a nice little placard for it and all that good stuff. Actually, I can actually show you some of this stuff right there. Adam West, right there. Yes, you're being watched too. So you got the whole Adam West setup right there. Scoggins, excuse me. Pattison, and I can't remember what her name is. Right there. Kate Beckinsale. Right up there, Linda Gay Scott, Hugh Jackman, Liam Schreiber, Polly Peretti. Two different ones. Yes, that is a autographed Darth Vader. Henry Winkler, Elvira, Dr. Britt Baker on one of my pictures. Jennifer Love Hewitt, right there. Another Kate Beckinsale over there. And all those autographs back on the wall back over there that were done at conventions that I didn't have to pay for. Because at the time that wasn't the thing. And I've since talked to Marat Michaels via Facebook. I've since talked to Dan Fraga via Facebook. And some of the stuff they remember, some of it they don't. Because back then that was their early on days of them starting at Image Comics. Breaking away from Marvel and DC and whatever else they were doing and working at Image Comics. And can I authenticate any of those back there? Sure as fuck can't. Because why? Didn't have a camera. And my phone didn't take pictures. It was a Nokia block phone. You know? And in fact, I didn't even have a cell phone until much later in life. Because it wasn't a necessity like it is today. And still, a cell phone really isn't a necessity today. You know, it's just one of those things that makes things convenient for us as people, um, and it's a way that we can track our loved ones. Because of all the tracking devices that you can put on your phones, or even find my phone or whatever. Um, you can pinpoint someone's location anywhere in the world, unless there's absolutely no cell phone service and they don't have satellite, hooked up to their phone and all that good stuff. V8 Energy, you need to be my sponsor. Seriously. If it's not you, it's Brisk, Punch, Fruit Punch, or Lemonade. So, or water. Brought to you by H2O. But I'm your host here, Monty Anderson at 412 Productions. Welcome to the broadcast. I know some of you are pretty bored about what I'm talking about and things of that nature, and I get that. But this is part of the show. This is part of what I do. Because I autograph my work, and I get people asking me how much for the autograph, and I'm like, it's free when you buy the artwork. And they're like, seriously? There's other people that charge for their autograph, and I said I totally understand that, but you're paying for that service once you buy my artwork, no matter what it is, be it. And I'm gonna have to censor this book for you just a minute. Right there. Um, she does have clothes on. She is holding herself, but the last time I showed this cover, um, I got flagged. And, so I'm covering up all the parts that could get me flagged. And it was somebody that was bittersweet over it, I guess. I don't know. And this is one of my covers of Chun-Li on the Street Fighter cover. And yes, every one of my pieces of artwork, you get this little thing that says, thank you for purchasing a one-of-one art piece from 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. And then it gives my email address, which is off-center. Oh, okay. I gotta fix that. And that goes on all my artwork, even my paintings. It goes on the back. It doesn't intrude. It doesn't like I used to glue business cards on the back of paintings, and that fucked them up. So this is a little bit nicer to the paintings because it doesn't draw when it dries. You can see on the front where the card was. So there's that one. Then this one was the girlfriend's idea on House of Slaughter. And it's a dismembered female. All bloody goodness going on. No lower jaw, no torso. I mean, you're at a torso, but no body. Arms are cut off. all that good stuff. I haven't put that sticker on here because this one was done before those stickers were created and before 412 came into existence. That was this was under my old moniker, but I'm still going to put the sticker on here. And then you've got good old Faith from Valiant Comics. She is actually a plus size girl in these comic books, and which makes her very cool, in my opinion. Because everything, and again, no sticker because it's again pre 412 Productions. Um, the fact that they brought a plus sized woman into comics and made her a superhero was was very cool because you don't see that. Everybody's a size zero. Everybody is super voluptuous and runway model and those type things. And here's this plain Jane female superhero. Okay, plus size. Um, Even when she transforms into Faith, she is not super slim, big tits, all that good stuff. No, she's this average, oversized female, you know, and who tries to do good things for people. And you don't see that. I mean, you see it as people trying to do good things, you know. But this is, it's just a cool comic book. You need to go read Faith from Valiant Comics. Let it change your mind in the realm of what a superhero can be. What us as artists need to see. We don't just need to see the size zero females. I'm just looking around. I mean, Kate Beckinsale is one. I mean, she's super thin. And then you've got Jennifer Love Hewitt. If you look at her today and Kate Beckinsale, if you put them side by side, you got a plus size and you've got a zero size. Okay, Kate Beckinsale obviously being the zero, and Jennifer Love Hewitt being the plus now. Whereas before, whenever she was growing up in her career, and she got her bosoms, um, which made men fall in love with her around the world. Um, in the early days, they were taping her down so she didn't look so huge. But then she just embraced it and said, "Screw it, it is what it is." And because they had to portray her as a specific age in the movies or the TV shows that she was in, and her sister in in those TV shows, they had to do the same thing. Who's gone on to play in a bunch of Hallmark movies and things like that. But you know, um, but that's the two differences now. Kate Beckinsale still looks like she's, you know, a two or a three in the female world as far as sizing goes, and then you got an 18 to 24 on Jennifer Love Hewitt. So it is what it is on that. And here's Vampirella. She's got some bling going on in her boobages and in her belly button, which you can see right there. You can see that little jewel that I put in there, maybe. I don't know if you can or not, actually. But she does have a jewel in her belly button and in her boobages. And again, there's the sticker because this is of this era. Now, this cover, this cover right here, was actually redone. I painted the entire cover, made it a virgin cover because this did have Vampirella strikes going across the top right here. And I drew on it originally, and it was shitty. Colored covers are some of the worst to do. I was doing pen and ink and some colored pencil on it and things like that. I painted the whole cover, painted over that original artwork, that original shitty artwork, which I can go back and find because it was about a couple years ago when I did it. And while I was sitting at a convention, I was just lightly doing it and all that good stuff. But I hated it. It looked like shit, and I knew it wouldn't sell. So then I painted the cover. I painted the whole cover, the burgundy cover color that was already there, and then I painted this and pen and inked it on top of that piece that I did, and it looks 1,000 times better. I will, for the next time inside and show you what the first one looked like to what this looks like. It's a night and day difference. And it's just one of those things that sometimes you don't, as an artist, you don't even like your own artwork sometimes. You know, you think it looks killer, you think it looks good. It's like my logo for my 412 Productions. I came up with a killer logo I thought was awesome. It was a it was the alien drawing on a piece of paper, and I printed it out. I had it ready to go. Then I start looking at it, and I'm like, this is shit. I don't like this at all because it looks too flat. It looks too stiff. It was all angles and hard corners and things like that. And and then it was like it looks like a frog. It doesn't look like an alien. It looks like a frog, you know. And so then I redrew it. I used the same elements that were behind it, which was the Starburst, and then the 412 Productions like I had it, and then I did have the Art of Monty Anderson going straight across the bottom, but then I tightened it up and put it up inside the underneath the alien's arm that's got the pencil in hand, which you can see, you know, as if you go up here to my website, you see his hand with the pencil, and it's got my drawing glove on it, right there on the hand because I put my drawing glove on, put my pencil in hand, took a picture of my arm, and that is the arm of the alien. You know, yes, it's only got 3 fingers and a thumb, all that good stuff. But I just didn't like the stuff that I was producing, you know. And so now I've changed and flipped the switch and done all that goody good stuff, and it's just like um, it's time to rearrange your room. All right, so the last of the Jim Starlin autographs, which I can prove, and I can send pictures if I ever get these um, authenticated and CGC graded, is Iron Man number 55. Beware the Blood Brothers. What's the significance of this issue? Why am I not showing it to you just yet? Because the significance of this issue is it's the first Thanos appearance ever. It's not a cameo appearance. It's the full-fledged Jim Starlin creation Thanos. About a $500 comic book that I'm holding in my hands. That's why it's in plastic and got the backer board. Now, once I put his autograph on it, about 550, closer to 600, which he signed it down here. Right there is his autograph. I have pictures of him autographing this book, as well as the other ones. And I had somebody wanting to buy this even before it was autographed. And I didn't even know if I wanted to let it go yet. You know? And I still don't know if I want to let it go. First Thanos appearance. Almost $600 comic book now. Sharp corner still. Could a pressing help it? Of course it could. And it's just one of those things that I've got a lot of comic books like that. Do I really want to hold on to them? Do I want to get them autographed and then let them go? Those type of things. But autographed world is one of those strange things because you can witness the autographs going down. You can witness and remember every instance, just like my Stan Lee on my convention box that I used to take with me to conventions. It's got many, many autographs on it. Michael Turner's on there. Stephen Hughes is on there. And why am I saying their names? Stan Lee's on there. I think George Perez is on there. All these people are gone now. There will be no new autographs from them. If a modern day book, after a certain point, comes out with these autographs on it, you know it's a fake. Okay? Because these people passed on. Okay? And there was a date that they passed on. So if anything after that shows up, on, say, a book came out 3 years after Stan Lee's death, but yet, obvious, obviously, but it starts having his autograph on it. Something's wrong. Okay, and I'm not meaning that they had it sitting at his house, he autographed it, which can be proven, and then it came out on the market. I'm talking about a modern book, say, let's just say, I'm trying to remember when he died, but let's just say 2018 is when he dies. 2024 rolls around on a book that was just published, fresh publishing 2024, but it was a creation of Stan Lee, and then all of a sudden there's autographs of Stan Lee on this book. Something's wrong. Because that book wasn't even in existence when he died, you know. And he wasn't in existence when that book was printed. So obviously there's something wrong there. And I've seen that happen with several books, that after the person has passed away, X amount of years later, a brand new book that was their creation or something like that, all of a sudden starts having autographs on it from them, but it wasn't even printed yet. There's an issue there. So that's why I think or feel that autographs get a bad rap if there is not proof of it being signed. Like I said, with my Jim Starlin stuff, I can prove all that. I met the man. We chit chatted. I was hoping he was going to come by my booth and check things out, but he never left his. You know, he was too busy rubbing elbows with some big actor, that played Thanos, and and he also played Cable. You know, so Josh Brolin, folks, Josh Brolin is what I'm talking about. They did a private autograph signing. They actually um, had to get some plastic sleeves from me, and I tried to get them to encourage them to come over to my booth, but it didn't happen. I knew it wasn't going to happen. All you can do is try. But no, that's why I think autographs have a bad rep sometimes, is because of the forgeries that do happen. It's just like paintings out there. You have forgeries of paintings. And sometimes they do that just so they can keep the original under lock and key and have a duplicate copy of this painting forged by someone to hang and display. So that if it gets stolen or burned up or whatever, hey, we've still got the original. And that's museums that I'm talking about. Because there are some museums that hang duplicate forged paintings. Now, there's also, on the other hand, duplicate forged paintings because one was stolen. You see that a lot. And it's just the same way with autographs. Forgeries happen. I've seen it. I've probably owned a couple. And, it's just one of those things that you have to deal with. Now, can you get around all that stuff? Yes, you can. Buy direct from the person, buy direct from a convention where you can see, take pictures, all that good stuff. Like, I wish I had a Polaroid back in the day, back in the 90s, because I would have proof of all of this, of all the autographs. I mean, just take this one for example. Let's just do a count, shall we? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 autographs in this little book from DEF CON 3, September 6th, 7th, and 8th in 1996, when 3-day shows were common. When 3-day shows were common. 6th, 7th, and 8th. Now it's very hard to find a 3-day show. 3-day shows are the best, especially for the vendors being there because they get a lot more sales, especially the very last day. Your second and third day, you usually get your best sales. And, that's why I love the 3-day shows. And that's the ones I'm going to focus on whenever I get back into going to conventions in 2026. Just because um, those are the best ones to be at. Those are the ones you tend to make the most of your money back into. And welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for stopping in, checking out the channel. Please go up here to my website and like all my other platforms. But please like, share, and follow here so that we can get those numbers up. We're close to 4,000 as far as followers go. We'd like to hit that 10,000 mark, but if we don't, we don't. It could take me a few more years. It could take me till I die before I get that 10,000 mark. But which would be cool to have that many people following, and actually coming on the broadcast. That would actually be pretty cool too. Because you always want to see that counter of how many people are watching, and it's for some reason mine has gone down. I don't know why, but it's all good. Maybe I need to choose a different fandom or something like that up there in my broadcast booth section, or maybe I should use the TikTok lives, whatever they want me to download. And yes, I was waiting for that. I wasn't going to be able to sleep if I didn't get this puzzle to do and get it right. Their little puzzles kill me. If you don't go live, you don't know what we're talking about. And I don't know if everybody has to do the little puzzle or not, but it's just kind of funny to me that they have to make you do that after you go live for so long. It's kind of like the Netflix asking, "Are you still watching? Are you okay?" It's their moderation rule or whatever. I don't. I fucking don't know. All I know is that it's annoying whenever it pops up and you have to go touch the screen and slide the little. And right now it's a stupid little double round uh, puzzle that they've got to line up the picture in. Whereas before it was a little puzzle piece that you had to slide to the right to match up where it is on the little screen to finish the puzzle. Simple things annoy me sometimes. But no, today we've been talking about autographs and how it's best to get them authenticated and how best not to get scammed. Okay? Because there are a lot of scammers out there. And we see it every day whenever we open up Facebook or beware of this scam, beware of this scam. There's a new, or you open up your news page or whatever, and it says, um, the whole toll booth scam going around right now, those type of things. So you've got scammers on every aspect of life. It doesn't matter. You got scammers when you walk into Walmart. You got scammers when you walk into Walgreens. You got scammers when you walk into Kroger's. You know, you got scammers when you're online doing a live show. You got those stupid bots that pop up in your uh, messenger, or you've got the people pretending to be someone, and they get you to start talking to them, and they're like, now we can start making money together, and or what would you do with $10,000 were dropped into your bank account right now? Tell me, you know. Oh, good. Yeah, yeah. I've seen it all. I've been around the block enough times that I know a scammer when I see it. And I try to warn my mother of them all. On a regular basis, and she still opens up emails or text messages from people she doesn't know, and she's like, "They're saying that, Mom, stop." Have you ever, in the past 10 years, had a pipe pass? It's just like it's a scam, mother. Just don't answer it. Delete it from your phone. Move on with life. I mean, granted, she's in her 80s, and I get it. She takes it as a grain, not a grain of salt. She takes it as word that hey, they're coming after me. They're going to mess with my bank account. going to sue me. They're going to, all this stuff. And it's just like, mom, and it's not the first time, um, and it won't be the last. So, but we got to keep our loved ones safe, no matter how, it goes. And it's unfortunate that there are so many scammers out there in the world that take advantage of older people, you know. And hell, they take advantage of younger people, people that are younger than I am, people that are my age, people that are my mother's age or older, that don't know any better. The those big ones that we were going around for the longest time of, um, we have your son or your daughter, and if you don't pay us this type of money, they will never get out of this country ever, those type of things. But so you just have to get your proof before you buy something. Okay, just like the proof is going to be sitting with these, because I'm going to print out pictures and put in the back of all of these comics that he autographed, all five of them, and for proof that he did autograph these, and people can say, well, that's not that book that he was autographing. You're right, it's not. It was probably this one that I took pictures of him autographing, or it could have been one of the Warlock titles that I had him autograph, and you got to think these books are old. Jim Starlin's old too, but he looks good for his age, actually. You know, takes care of himself, unlike some of us right there. We eat a little too much sometimes. I'm still stuffed from dinner last night, and it's kind of weird. I've got my healthy breakfast right here. My little cuties. I know that makes some of you happy, and some of you just cringed. I get it. But no, I try to eat healthy. Doesn't always work, and especially two heart attacks. They've tried to put me in the ground, and here I am, still upright, still going strong. You know, I'm not as strong as I used to be, although I overdo it sometimes. 150 pound, 175-pound pallets that I'm moving on my own on a regular basis, um, building fences with, those type of things. It's just like, yeah, you're gonna hurt yourself one day. Your spleen's gonna blow out your ass or something, and it's just like, well, I get that, but I'm still a young buck in my eyes. I ain't no spring chicken, but I feel like it sometimes. But no, it's all in how you feel, and try not to get scammed out there, people. Go to the source if you want your autographs. Just like me, if you buy my artwork, I will send you a video of me autographing it, just like I did on this piece. You know, this is my autograph down here, and the guy that purchased it, I sent him a video of me autographing this piece. And so that's pretty cool for him. And now I'm just waiting for payment. You know, and I know he's good for it. He's just busy, just like the rest of us, and it's all good. Just like a guy that I'm getting ready to do a huge 18 by 24 piece of for on a piece of artwork. He has already paid 2 payments on it. I do layaway programs for everybody because I understand life situations. And he's like, I'm not going to be able to make a payment until this date. I said, dude, look, you're good. If you only could pay me $10, you're still good, you know, because you're making payments on your piece here, and this is a huge piece that I'm going to be working like the 18 by 24 inches on paper, and it's going to be a lot of detail, and so I'm looking forward to it. But I've got to muddle through some other things first before I actually can get to that piece of artwork. And he understands that he knows where his place is in line, you and I'm in character development for a comic book that I'm working on with a movie producer here in town. And it's like life. Life comes at you in waves. So don't get scammed. Is the bottom line. Try not to get scammed out there with autographs from people. Uh, if you can't have a JSA or a certificate of authenticity or pictures, of it happening, do you really need it? How can you authenticate the reality of it all? All the autographs that I have in here, minus the Tracy Scoggins and the Adam West, I can prove with and the Henry Winkler and the Darth Vader and Maria Sirtis over here from Star Trek. I cannot authenticate those. Number one, I didn't see them happen except for Adam West. I watched that happen. It is to me. His thumbprints are on my Life magazine. I can authenticate that 1,000,000% until the day I die. These other ones that I got at like antique stores and um, things of that nature, I cannot authenticate those because they did not come with the JSA and they did not come with the certificate of authenticity. They just came with a little booklet that they were in, except for the Henry Winkler. He was on a wall in an antique store, and it was like $10 for his autograph, and I was like, sold, and it's to someone, and that's fine. I've got several that are like that in my Dallas Cowboy collection that are to somebody else, to Cammy, I believe is who it is, and it's Tony, or it's not Tony Dorsett, it's crap, I can't even think of his name right now. Wide receiver back in the day, and those I can't authenticate because again, I didn't witness it. There was no certificate of authenticity. There was no JSA, anything like that to be like, yes, this is true autograph. Now, the Darren Woodson that I have in there, I can authenticate it because it does have the little JSA QR code in the corner that you can scan. It shows when it was signed, with the date it was signed, all that good stuff. And I wish everything had that. Just like all the stuff that I used to get from the BAM horror box that I would get in. All those have the little JSA signature QR code in the corner. So you can scan it, you can see what and who signed the book or the picture. And I've got several of those pictures around the house from the BAM box. And that was a cool box to get, especially for horror. And I should have done it for the comic book side as well, but I didn't. But you know, but everything that I do is 100% real, 100% authenticated by me, and you get to witness the autograph because any of my artworks that I do, 90% that are in my portfolio sitting right here are not autographed yet. You get a fresh autograph whenever you buy the piece, and I will send you a video of me autographing that piece. Now, if you're at a convention that I happen to be at and you buy the piece, I autograph it in front of your eyes. And I do not charge for the autograph like so many other artists do out there. And that shocks people sometimes. It's because they're like, you're seriously not charging for the autograph? No, you just bought the artwork. Why do you need to pay extra for a certificate of authenticity a or my autograph? Why am I going to charge you $10 for an autograph or $8 for a certificate of authenticity? That's going to come with it. You're going to have my little sticker on the back that says "Thank you for purchasing." This one of one artwork, and there's your authenticity right there. That there's not going to be another one produced that looks exactly like that. Even my Art the Clown here that I did two of is not exactly the same. You know, the one that my girlfriend has is different than this. You know, this one is up for grabs. It is on an actual saw blade. You know, right here. It's a real saw blade. Yes, I can bend it a little bit, but it is protected. It's sealed, just like the base is sealed. It says "The Art of Art" on it, and there you go. This needs to be at somebody's house right now, not mine. That's a pretty good joke right there, by James, who just came on. He said a man just threw milk, butter, and cheese at me. How dare he? That's quite funny. And so, you know, that's make sure you get your stuff authenticated, um, if you can, when it comes to autographed works. Thank you for the follow. I'll be sure to hit you up after the live show, my friend. Um, so yeah, the whole fact that you can get authentication done is pretty exciting. You know. Now, again, there are those chances like this that has the what did we count? 13 autographs inside of it that I cannot be authenticated 100% other than I was there. I had these autographs put in this book by the creative team. Michael Turner is dead and gone. His autograph will never be again out there. Um, Lynn Wein, who is not in here, but I've got his autographs on some other things, like this very cool Swamp Thing holographic card from the what year set is it? I can't read. Where's the year? 1992 Skybox DC card set. Mr. Lynn Wein, right here, the creator of the Swamp Thing and the Incredible Hulk, or not Incredible Hulk, sorry, the Wolverine. You know, he autographed like 60 items for me that day. What all do I have left? Not much, unfortunately. But all these autographs, Marat Michaels, Dan Fraga, you know, I have the proof on the wall back here that I met them. Dan Fraga is actually right there. No, Dan Fraga where is Dan Fraga's? That one right there. No, that's Marat Michaels. Dan Fraga's is not up on the wall. Actually, that's Marat Michaels right there. It's just like Blindside, I think, is the character that he was doing at the time. And you know, would I love to get that authenticated? 100%. I would love to have that whole book authenticated. You know, with a little JSA or whatever from that DEF CON 3 in 1996. But you know, if this ever went into anybody else, you know, how much could I get for this? How much could I get for David Wall's autograph, Michael Turner's autograph, Kathy Christian's autograph, Shannon Wheeler, Dan Fraga, Marat Michaels, Susie Blackson Owens, Nikki Fritz, aka Razor, JJ North, aka Tommy Gunn, what the freak is her name? Teresa Lynn, Steve Irwin, Rob Davis, Jordy Ensign, Michael Vance, R.A. Jones. I mean, you know, how much could I get for this book if I actually sold it with it not being authenticated? You know, that's what it boils down to. Can you authenticate something and can you justify charging a price for that without being authenticated? You know, and it's just one of those things that I know it happened. I was there. I witnessed it. I saw it. It was live and in charge when it happened. But can I prove it? No, I can't. No photographs. The only photographs are right here in my mind's eye as they wrote and we chit chatted. You know, as we talked about their works, their different aspects of life. You know, and that's the sad thing about the '90s. In reality, if you weren't super rich and had the phones that were coming out that were starting to do pictures and things of that nature, um, or if you didn't have a good camera to take with you to these shows and things like that, you know, you have no proof of what happened in the '90s, and that's a good thing for some of us. The '70s through the early 2000s is a good years because there is no proof of the stupidity that we all did back in the day, other than what's on our mind and the scars that we bear. You know, from all of our accidents or death-defying feats or the different things that could have killed us as children. You know, that's our authentication. All the scars that are on our body from the many different aspects of life and accidents that we had. But to be honest, folks, I didn't think I was going to be on this long for the show. But I appreciate each and every one of you being here because I was just going to talk quickly about, autographs and authenticity and things of that nature. But here we are, an hour and a half into the show. Yeah, the first portion of the show was a little bumpy because there was a lot of things going on. And between the animals, between uh, some drama happening, those type things, you know. But it's been a pretty good show. I appreciate each and everybody stopping in, checking out the channel, and please go up here, like, share, follow, and then go to my website and be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you're here on TikTok. So go ahead and follow me here. But with that, as I like to say, keep it real, keep it authentic. Make sure you get authentication whenever you get an autograph, if you can, like the photographs. But anyway, as I say, as I leave you to your beautiful day, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.